ahead and levitate the situation by talking of World of Darkness.
Yeah!
Oh, see, I was...
The bright, sunny future that we could have had, controlled by vampires. And the technocracy.
Shut up. No.
was
We're already being controlled by the technocracy. Just look at the shenanigans.
But hi, and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 tabletop and horror podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by...
John!
Sarah.
And the Lord Bod.
James. Also, of course, we're sad. We're still talking about Tremere.
It's almost over.
We're in Tremere month.
It's almost over.
We're through
so
it.
Close.
Our watch has almost ended.
Yeah. We may rest again.
You know, honestly, the black cloak makes so much more sense now. I was wondering what the fuck that was. I just assumed you wanted to be fancy.
No.
It is a fit.
I'm just letting them know I'm keeping the shitty ice mages on their side of the wall.
You know nothing. Anyways, I decided to write the bonus episode because I had thoughts about things. So strap in, everybody. I'm sorry. We're going to be talking about capitalism, feminism, Western occultism, and how that maps onto the meta plot for the Tremere.
Whoa.
Ooh.
A smart boy episode. Hooray!
Yeah.
You tricked me.
What?
This is not what I thought we were talking about.
What do you
today.
think I was going to bring
I
up?
thought I was just going to get like a half hour of talking about how shitty the Tremere are. But
Oh, no, we can. This, delves into this.
I mean,
Okay.
There's a terrible part. I know we don't want to do any more Tremere, but we could do another bonus episode where it's just John and
Just
James
screaming.
just shit on the
Oh,
Tremere.
no. I left a whole section at the end for you to air your grievances.
Aw, thanks.
You can slam your 95 theses in the back of my Dragula.
It's not gonna be theses. It's just gonna be Gregorian rage chant.
Honestly,
I think
that sounds good.
I think that I have, done a lot of self-reflecting and work, and I think that I can sum it up pretty quickly at the end here. So
Yeah. Okay, we'll put a button on it. We'll put a pin.
we'll put a button on it. I will try to contain myself.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
pressure cooker your rage.
All I'm saying is I didn't know I was going to have to learn today.
you are. Unfortunately, you guys let me write a script.
Wait,
again.
you can't just wait. You have to listen to everybody. You can't just shut off your processors and tune out for like a bit.
I thought you were just a really good listener.
Oh, shit. They found out.
Damn it. Anyways, so small content warning on this episode. We are talking about the occult, colonialism and slavery, reproductive repression, lynching, and also fuck turfs.
Fuck turfs.
Yep, fuck turfs.
Can I just go ahead and say,
Yes.
content warning on every single one of our episodes ever. We're probably going to talk about the occult.
I know, but it's like explicit in this.
Okay,
So
all right.
it's not because I'm like, oh, people that listen to the show are not going to be interested in occult things. It's more of a, hey, the occult is a wide field that has a lot of topics and theories, and I might not agree with you, and please don't fall into pedantry.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyways.
My answer to that usually is, well, it's not very convenient for me to believe that right now, so it's not useful.
Yeah, I just yell chaos and walk away.
Yep.
Modern
Chaos
occultism
reigns.
is mostly just, do what you want to do. Figure it out.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting anybody, fuck it. So, for sources, a lot of this I'm pulling from the video essay Witchcraft, Gender, and Marxism by Abigail Thorne. It's a really good little Halloween spoopy episode, if you're interested. I did do a little bit more further research based on the works of Caliban and the Witch by Sylvia Federici, Enchantment and its Uses, Religion and Spirituality and Environmental Direct Action by Bronislaw Zielinski and Emma Tomlin. Why can I do that name but not other words? Anyways, then there's also Mammies, Matriarchs, and Other Controlling Images by Patricia Hill Collins. On Gender and Hermeticism, Analysis, Ranting, and Questions by the... I did actual research like an adult. So, we're starting off with the Black Death, Early Capitalism, and the Burning Times.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That doesn't sound too good.
Yeah.
No, you're right, it doesn't.
It does
I was
not.
going to try to argue it because burning time sounds like it could be a good time, but then like...
We're not talking about this in a Cheech and Chong sense. I don't think.
Okay,
I wish.
Gotcha. I thought we were starting low and kind of going up, but we're just...
Kind of still.
We're kind of doing that.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's going to be some ups and downs, some twists and turns. So yeah, you all know the Black Death during the 1340s, 1350s, that whole shenanigan. Basically, the world kind of ended
No idea.
during a
what
plague.
A few people died.
A few, yeah, you're not wrong. According to Price's Right rules, you are correct. A few people did die. Basically, like a third of the world just blip.
Yep, gone.
I have no idea what it's like to have the world end around me during a massive health crisis. That's weird. So the mass casualties and fundamental cracking of the feudal system allowed for peasants to organize and demand more in return for their labor.
Woo!
So, cool. And then the people that own things were like, well, we can't have that.
Oh.
It also opened up society for the creation of the merchant middle class that kind of became the, the Jeff Bezoses, if you will.
Right.
So that's where that started. Hooray, we got that fundamentals. Moving on. The age of exploration of the Renaissance. So Europeans began traveling the world between the 1400s and the 1600s,
That's good and very bad. Because exploration of the world's cool. Mm-hmm. But, like, everything that came after that?
Yeah, like, learning things in the world and trying new foods and meeting new peoples, rad as fuck.
Making friends.
Raping and pillaging and burning everything.
Genocide
bad. No, bad
so
times. Also had the Renaissance happening in staggered waves across Europe between the 1300s and the 1700s.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Renaissance is just like that little thing that happened in Italy where people did the drawing good. And
that did happen.
That did happen. That was early on, but then it spread further. And honestly, like the Northern European Renaissance has some really bitchin' art if you like gothy shit, but
Sick.
Unfortunately, that is not the focus of this.
Oh.
So these periods bring into refocus on great masters from the classical period. So there's like a refocus back on like ancient Roman and Greek shit. Wealth is being stolen and brought back from across the globe into Europe. Mm-hmm. And ideas are being discovered and quote unquote discovered in various ways. It's, there's a combination of people actually doing research in Europe as well as I went to the Middle East and talked to these scholars in this library in Baghdad. These ideas are mine. Mm-hmm. I invented this. And I'm just like, no, that's not okay.
You fibbing.
And they also have the earliest formations of corporations.
That's also a bummer.
Yeah, you get things like the Dutch East Indies Company and, the transatlantic slave trade and all that shit. Capitalism. Hooray.
I mean, I'm technically a corporation.
That's true.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Me.
Oh.
Just a gnome in a suit.
Yep.
So all that shit's going on. We've all had a European history class. We're all vaguely aware of this shit. Where the fuck does magic stick into this? Federici has a really good quote about magic, which is magic is the refusal of work in action.
Okay.
Which I find to be an interesting concept. Basically, magic can be a communal and organizing force where spiritualism is a form of self-empowerment and protest, where it's just like, well, I could do this thing, or I can instead go hang out with the homies and burn some sage and just kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of magic, I feel like, at the very core of it is just different forms of self-empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. There's also magic as a refusal of explanation, which is a lot of people kind of look at the progress of like the Enlightenment, Renaissance into the Enlightenment into like the modern era with science as like, well, our ancestors were fucking stupid because they didn't know how gravity worked. Mm-hmm. But our brains fundamentally really haven't changed all that much over the past like 10,000 years. So it's like, no, these people weren't stupid.
They just had access to less information.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like they had access to less or different information because I think there's something to be said for people that are just like, I know I could have this explanation, but instead I'm just gonna not. It's like, like little superstitions you have where it's like, oh yeah, if I wear my favorite shirt, like I'm gonna have a good day.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. It's fucking stupid. But you put it on and you have a good day. That kind of shit where it's like, you don't need to quantitatively do the maths to understand that statistically, if I wear my shirt, there's a 63% chance that my day is going to be better. It's like, it's just vibes.
It's just in your head.
Yeah, it's in your head. You are making it happen because it's in your head.
I mean, that's also like one of the biggest, core baselines of like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's just, you convince yourself that things are good, and then, wow, things feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I've joked on our Discord where I'm like, no, I gaslit myself into thinking I'm hot. Because society spent most of my life trying to tell me that I am a terrible being that's not worthy of love and affection and da-da-da based on my physicality. And I just went, but what if I just did hot girl shit and it works?
Now, I do think you deserve love. But...
Well, maybe not hot girl shit.
What the fuck you?
No, I was going to say, I do think you might be terrible, though. Like all of us.
Okay, there we go. I was wondering where the terrible turnaround is going to be. I'm like, is Hunter just going to be like, fuck you?
No, just we're all pretty awful, but
Yeah. So with this concept, it's good to keep in mind that there's a balance point between qualitative versus quantitative, like how good the thing is opposed to like how much of it the thing is. Mm-hmm. And also like you get into some weird sticky situations when you start looking at other people's concepts and ideas and understandings of the world as being primitive or lesser than yours because it's done in a certain way. I'm like, guys, everybody experiences the world differently, and sometimes that is valid. Sometimes it is not. You should maybe look into things and think for your goddamn self. Anyways. There's also magic as the promise of getting something for nothing. So this is having a worldview where things are not as strict and structured kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, no, if I do the May Day birding thing, then the crops will be good. There's days where you work, days where you don't, that kind of shit. It's just like,
I grew up in Iowa and we did something similar like that. We would find tourists and we'd leave them in a field as a sacrifice for the harvest.
How'd that go?
And the farm's still going.
Sick. Are you just talking about Children of the Corn?
No, that was different. They were like a whole cult and they killed adults.
Yeah.
No, we didn't care who it was.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Well, they killed adults because a random demon got trapped in the outside world and was speaking through a thinny.
Right on.
Sick.
That moment when you know a little bit too much about Stephen King and can explain their bullshit.
I specifically don't like Stephen King, but that book / the first movie is pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. Everyone after that is a little bit either unhinged or just terrible.
I watched all 8 or 9 of them over the summer.
They're 16.
They're making a new one.
Good. Mm-hmm. They're not going to lose those rights.
I didn't watch the made-for-TV ones. I skipped those. I watched the actual movie ones. I like the new metal one where the farm kids are killing people in the city for some reason.
But yeah, understanding magic philosophy as getting something for nothing also has a worldview where it's like, there's not really work in the way that we understand it today, where it's like, I have to go to a job and do X amount of things so I don't starve. It's just hey, we need to go do this thing. It's like, oh, okay, sick.
So would a better way to say it, it's without labor?
Labor still happens, but it's not as in a structured way that we have it here, where, you have to go through interview processes, you have to have a W-2. Your access to goods and services is dependent on how many ticks you have in your account, kind of a thing. It's a little bit more communal and, trading focaccia bread for printers, kind of a situation where it's like, oh yeah, no, Joey Two Hands is good at making shoes and I'm good at the bread and we can do trades and support each other. If somebody's sick in the area, you're just like, okay, you can go rest. We'll pick up the stuff and then you can kind of, that kind of a world. Also, the, go ahead.
Hold on. Why is his name Joey Two Hands?
I don't know.
Does everyone else only have one? Do most people have 3 in this world? Did he lose one and then somehow grow it back?
It was the Middle Ages. If you made it to adulthood with all of your digits and everything, that's an accomplishment.
Okay.
That is hot girl shit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fucking, he's got all of his teeth. Damn.
He's 25 and hasn't lost any bits. All right. Look at that guy.
Look at him.
He's
fucking
got 2 hands.
Smoke show. And another note to be made is that within European magical traditions, women are often in control and or have a lot of social powers in these. So think of the village wise woman, diviners, midwives, herbalists, that whole thing. There's also ties into old druidic cultures and okay, so
weren't all of the oracles women too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Greece, yeah. And then within Nordic pagan traditions, women tended to be more the magic wielders and
the
accountants
and things like that. Yeah.
Which would be something that you could tie into the Malkavians too. But almost all old traditions of just oh yeah, we have a seer. It's almost always an older woman for whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of early herbalism and medicine stuff ties into some early science where some of it is just hokum and bullshit, but a lot of it is tied into what we found now to be actual science. So people that do foraging and all that kind of stuff have this wealth of knowledge of oh yeah, if you get violets and you can make tinctures and all sorts of things. Yeah. So unfortunately,
they didn't know it was science.
They didn't know it was science, but it was basically science. Yeah. So we have to get into 2 concepts real quick before we proceed, and put on your thinky caps, everybody.
Oh, fuck.
I'm sorry. So there's the concept of, he's actually putting on a hat. Hell yeah.
And go get my ski mask.
Over the
Let's go.
over the headphones.
The beanie over the fucking studio headphones is so good.
Looks like a shitty
You look
mushroom.
like a goth mushroom from Mark.
So you look like the kid who sits on the back of the bus that everyone's afraid of, but he's actually just sad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
just
cool
you.
with that. That's fine. I vibe with that for sure.
Class, I got two concepts. You guys probably already know this, but we're going to go over it for those who maybe don't.
Oh boy.
So there's the concept of controlling images. These are stereotypes shared within a culture to establish certain values and ideas upon various groups. These are most often based around race, sex, gender, ethnicity, religion, all that kind of stuff.
These, if you're familiar, could be like the magical concept of like archetypes.
Yeah, but these are done in a way that's like negative usually.
I mean, archetypes aren't always positive.
No, that's fair. Just more times than not, when people think of controlling images, it's things that are just like gross stereotypes of, just like the big meta right now that like all trans people are predators.
Trans people are predators. Certain minorities are more violent than others. That kind of thing. Women are always in danger.
Yeah, brown women are particularly horny. Like, I'm like, that's not true, and that's unsafe for, like, why? It's just shit like that. Are people using that as a nexus of control?
No.
Yeah, controlling images feels less like the archetypes, which is like, archetype is when you say tree, the thing that just showed up in your brain is the archetype
Or
of
like
tree for you.
a trickster.
Right.
But a controlling image is, the whole point is to become that archetype, so that when you then associate with a person who falls into that group, you don't think of them as a person, you think of that controlling image or new archetype that's been created.
Yeah, basically controlling image is a way to depersonify a group of people into a negative archetype, generally.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I was getting at was, it feels like it wasn't as much as an archetype as an aspect of an archetype that someone is trying to build.
Yes.
Where the archetype is, this is that thing. Mm-hmm. These are things about that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically trying to so a lot of the really gross racist ideas about the 1350 bullshit and black people are more violent and prone to poverty and da 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 da. All that shit is ideologies that's used to force those communities into being into the current social diaspora that those people live in.
Right.
Which creates the archetype of, the thug you see in bad guys in movies and shit like that. Mm-hmm. So, cool concept. It's not cool, but knowing about it means we can look at it and go, hey, that's not good. Don't do that. And the other concept I want to go over was media hegemony, which is the dominance of certain cultural values and thoughts that are expressed through media.
The Marvel series.
We're in a weird period to talk about this.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, which is also why I feel like it's important to talk about this shit, because there's a lot of people, particularly with negative and or harmful intents, that are trying to use these things to force stuff that is very much in line with what I'm trying to talk about in this episode. So it's kind of why we're trying to talk about it. Hooray. But yeah, so this would be, the prime example of this is the way that in almost all of media for feminine presentation, it almost always has to be sexual in a way that's pleasing to straight white guys. Mm-hmm. Even if it's girl power, lady empowerment. I'm like, yeah, but you're still falling into tropes that are presented to you and you're not being hashtag pussy boss on your own terms kind of a thing. That happens a lot.
I feel like that also gets into a much deeper conversation of how media doesn't really represent people anymore. I mean, I've seen a lot of people talking about it. It's even in movies, whereas before you had a lot more, what's a good way to put it? Less typical looking actors who would get roles, I don't want to be mean, but someone like Steve Buscemi cannot exist in today's media landscape, whereas they may not fit the typical look of a man or a woman, but they're a fucking good actor. Whereas you don't really see that anymore. You get the Chris Pratt and fucking everything.
That's the bullshit that came about. Remember, he got his start pretty much as Andy on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He was a fat guy then. But the thing was, he made himself the fat, dumpy archetype of I'm just a fat, dumb, bad-looking person.
Kind of like chunky golden retriever energy guy.
Yeah, he made himself that. He was the Chris Pratt he is now. Prior to that, just so he could be he's the average everyday man. And then as soon as he started getting roles, he's like, all right, I can slim back up and be the pretty man actor because I've seemed like I started as a normal person.
I would argue that even when he did that, though, he really wasn't that chunky. He was still very traditionally attractive in almost every sense of the word.
Yeah, I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy of the fact that it's
to kind of yes and that, and kind of the media hegemony to explain this, especially in our current like cultural meta, is it is highlighted a lot because of the dominance of superhero films. The cultural layout that we have presented for men and masked people is like the hero archetype, and that's all anybody's ever given. It is either hero or powerful businessman, and that's kind of all you get. So any kind of masculinity that doesn't fall into hero or provider is seen as a failure, which I think has cycled into a lot of guys because of, how the economy is now, and basically nobody can succeed on those two terms anymore. Led to a lot of guys just kind of falling straight into getting blackpilled and incelled and all that.
They thought they were becoming some sort of hero or vigilante because they no longer could provide.
Well, it's like, instead of having the hero archetype or being a provider, so instead of being able to be Luke Skywalker or Wolf of Wall Street, these guys are now like vigilante villainizing themselves. So they're taking that same energy and turning it negative.
They're watching the Joker.
Yeah, they're jokering themselves.
Okay,
yeah.
I can do that since I can't be Wall Street and Batman.
If I can't be Luke Skywalker, I have to be Kylo Ren.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of where media hegemonies kick in and become a problem. Cool. So now we can proceed on to what I consider to be the funny haha of the sacred vessel fallacy with a PH. Dick jokes.
That's a wiener joke.
Thanks, World of Darkness. So for most of capitalist history, the role of cis women in society was to produce the workforce through a combination of childbearing and rearing and maintaining domestic spaces.
Yeah.
Word.
This has existed before capitalism and across several cultures. It was just very strictly defined in Western European capitalism. So how did we get there, though? Considering the before times when things were a little bit more loosey-goosey in feudalism. And the nexus point of that is the witch trials, the 200 plus years of burning and torture and, bad times.
Yeah, not a great time.
No. We actually have no records that definitively define how many women and or queer people were murdered.
Well, because they were just like being like, we got a big fire, let's toss a few more on.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting problem because so much of the witch trials were actually run by the state as opposed to like religious foundations. So it was very legalized and whatnot. So there are a lot of records, but unfortunately, this also happened in a lot of small rural areas that didn't really keep records well. So God knows how many people just in villages were just strung up on a tree or just like left out in the woods to die.
Unfortunately, to tie it to another awful part of our history, it's kind of like lynchings too.
I will get into that.
Okay, so where like it's not a legalized process. 5 guys are like, she's a witch. We don't have a witch anymore.
Yes.
She's a witch. We have rope. We can solve this problem.
Yeah, so this quote-unquote problem was kind of handled in 2 major ways. There was a legal system, as I've mentioned, so this included not only the trials and torture and execution of witches, it also included the loss of property rights for women, abortion access, rights to non-productive sex, and also working rights, which included sex work, midwifing, medicine, and a lot of what we would consider early science. Just all of that was cut off.
I'm just so curious how you police non-productive sex.
Oh, that's easy. If you catch a couple having sex and they're not married, the woman is a harlot and clearly corrupted by Satan and will either be flogged. There's like the bridles and things. Sorry about that. Like the devil's forks where it was like 2 prongs and it would like force their head up and they have to wear that the whole time. Or there's like the wife's scold where it was like a metal like cage harness with a plate to put in their mouth so the woman couldn't talk. Being thrown in the stocks, being dunked.
Well, yeah, I was less curious about the punishment and more how the hell they got caught, but I
that's easy.
The point
you're trying to hook up with your hottie behind the barn, and somebody happens to see you
and decides to be a
or
bitch.
she says no, and you decide to accuse her of it.
Yeah.
Or unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah.
Or she owns property you want.
Yeah, and you're just like, she seduced me in the night, that harlot.
Oh, that's
She's trying to steal my penis.
Luckily, I am a man of good honor and fought away the villainous witch.
On the power of God, I'm a righteous man. Yes. And on that, the second prong of this is also societal expectations, because there's a restructuring and reinforcement of women being propagandized to be chaste and submissive. So a lot of these ideas of it's like, it's the natural order of things that women are weak and submissive and have to serve men because men do things around the house. This is where this gets
all
really,
women should be submissive and breedable.
This is where it gets codified within our culture. This kind of stuff has existed since ancient times and has gone through fluxes of more common, and then women get some rights and get to do some things, and then society goes, I don't know, and then kind of gets come back. It fluxes.
Right.
History fortunately is not a steady arc bending towards correctness. Sometimes there's backswings, and it's really spooky. Oh, I thought you were going to say something, my friend.
No, I'm
sorry.
just scratching my bits.
That is fair.
It's your head. Please don't just say bits. The listeners don't know.
The head is a bit of me.
That's true. The head is part of your bits.
Yes, but there is
there's connotations.
Yeah.
So these two forces worked in tandem to stigmatize women who were independently sexual, not inherently nurturing to children, or could impose impotence on men. Like a lot of charges for witchcraft were, stealing semen or taking penises or, ruining crops, that kind of shit. Fun. This set up a social landscape that says that the natural order is for women to be subservient and fertile. Thus, anything outside of that is unnatural and devilish.
Oh, submissive and breedable.
Yeah, submissive and breedable. And this also stretched into the social expectations being put upon queer folks. So a lot of the witch trials also caught up a lot of gay men and lesbians and trans folk. And, I have no idea what that is like right now. Anywho, primitive accumulation. This is where it gets a little spicy. From the Caliban and the Witch book. So with the shifting of the focus of production from being creating things for yourself, your family, and your little local village, and you might give some stuff to a local lord, but it's pretty localized in your area and under your control. You're switching the entire economy to the community works for the benefit of a few people. And these few people basically exist in an owning class of some sort, whether that is mercantiles, nobles, that kind of shit. And to do this big shift, society has to have a very regimented mindset. Because you can't keep track of how many units of hay you have and how many units of hay belongs to the guy who owns the farm and the farming tools and all that shit unless you have a structured day. So to do this, the power dynamics between men and women had to fundamentally shift. So in Federici's concept of primitive accumulation, this puts a violent upheaval and oppression of women as stemming in this time to be as fundamental to the formation of capitalism as colonialism and slavery is.
And this is right around the end of the Black Death.
Yeah, so basically the Black Death, there was a surgence of workers, like peasants and all that, demanding more land rights, more rights for travel, more autonomy to do their own things outside of their feudal lords and all that, because they weren't directly tied to the land anymore, because the concepts of just society completely collapsed, as what happens when a third of the population dies.
Well,
that'll do it.
Wow, I wonder what that's like. We're I'd say this period is also when last names became in fashion outside of long held rich family tradition, people trying to show off their
crafts.
heritage.
Yeah.
But you had so many people moving because you actually had landowners having to compete each other to get workers out of what was left. And so to identify people, all of a sudden you weren't just Sean, you were Sean from Brixton. Because there might be 3 Seans in this town now from different places.
Or, Thomas the Cobbler, and then you get, the cobblers. The family of shoe folk. Yes. Yeah. So, this is some heavy, big meta of society plot thing. So I apologize. One sec.
You're okay.
So basically, for capitalism to work, you need to have classes of people that are subjugated to do the labor for the benefit of other people. In terms of colonialism and slavery, that is fairly blunt. Of literally stealing people and forcing them to work on your farms. Pretty straightforward. With the subjugation of women as a labor force, it's a little bit more subtle because, we haven't opted to directly chain femme-presenting people in a similar chattel slavery way, but you do have the concept of women's work where the things that women do as labor for society is deemed as not as important or valid as more masculine presenting work. And a lot of people don't even recognize it as work. So, doing dishes, maintaining the house, laundry, that kind of stuff isn't considered work. Even if you get into the arts, a lot of artworks that women produce are considered crafts.
Scrapbooking and macrame.
And textile work, that kind of stuff. Whereas...
sewing.
Yeah, where sculpting and painting is considered more masculine art forms, and those kind of tend to end up more in museums and get more media analysis. So...
The art museum here in town a few years ago had a really big exhibit on... what was her name? She's the older lady. She does a lot of just really weird high fashion stuff.
Oh, shit. I think I know who you're talking about, but go on.
Yeah, they had a big exhibit on her work.
It wasn't Vivienne Westwood, was it?
Maybe. I'll have to look up a picture. Anyway, if I remember, I'll yell it at some point.
As you do.
Yeah, but that area was super duper cool, and looking at that, I can't understand how someone wouldn't look at textile work and be like, that's art. It's fucking cool stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking cool shit.
It just made me think of that, so I had to share.
One of the most metal pieces of art I've ever seen is a textile.
Yeah.
I had an art professor here in Indianapolis. I can't remember her first name. I believe her last name was Stormcrow. But she was
a cool last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was a BIPOC lady, and I had her for a women in art class, and she was working on this big community art project exhibit talking about the intersectionalities of being Black and a woman in America. So she had a quilting circle, and they were making a quilt, but the quilt was, they found this teeny tiny newsprint picture of a woman in the Indianapolis area who was lynched in the early 1900s. And they were blowing it up and reproducing it on a quilt to hang it in. Right?
Yes, that is...
I'm like...
Metal.
Right? I was just
chills.
that is the most metal fucking thing. And I was like, good, that shit should get called out. And I'm glad that you are doing it in such a dynamic way. And also, I'm like, I can't imagine the grieving process of having to sew that. That's... Oof. Anywho. Continuing on. So, the other little notes I had about women's labor being subjugated is there's also the concept of the second shift, which comes from second wave feminism, and it's one of the only good things second wave feminism has done in my mind. But so with how the economy is now, and both men and women are having to go to work to fund a fucking house because money sucks. There's also the expectation that's carried on from this time period of the witch trials and a little bit after that on to this day, where it's expected that the femme presenting people in your house are going to clean house, do dishes, make dinner. If you have kids, take care of kids. That's just culturally expected to be on the femme person. So basically, you work an 8-hour day and then you come home and you continue to work, but it's unpaid labor that nobody acknowledges.
One thing that I read that was interesting that I think ties into this, and just I think it's just a sign of how strong that is still a thing in our society. I think the article may have been talking about it for other reasons, but I do think it applies. They did a study recently with same-sex and non-binary couples, and they found that even they, in their households, tend to fall into the same traditional roles. And when you're don't have a gender stereotype, it is usually divided. The masculine tendencies and roles are usually given to the person who makes more money for the household, whereas the more quote-unquote women's work goes into the person who either is not working or doesn't have.
Yeah, and I've seen in queer relationships where the dynamic, and if that's how you want to set up your dynamic, that's great, good for you. But yeah, like the more butch one will tend to work a more intense job and therefore feel more entitled to not have to do housework, and then the more femme person will pick that up. Whether that works for you or not, that is your relationship, and Papa bless. For me, that shit drives me fucking insane.
Yeah.
But
as long as you're having conversations about it, do whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure. If like some people were really into, putting on a frilly maid costume and cleaning the house, and I'm like, you know what? Bless. I used to get paid to make people do that in my apartment.
Hot.
Yeah, and then, oh God, I lost my place. I am so sorry.
Emotional labor.
Yeah, and emotional labor. That's the other one where is another women's work thing that doesn't get accounted for. Because, there's a lot of people that are just like, oh yeah, I go pay a therapist, which is usually, more times than not, still to this day, a dude who went to college and has a fancy paper to talk about your feelings. But I, as a femme presenting person, and pretty much every femme person I know, is usually the emotional processor person in every fucking social group and has to mitigate everybody's feelings and try to maintain group cohesions and da-da-da-da. And that is labor. That is just completely unaccounted for. And it's just an interesting topic that I'm like, what do we do with this as a society? I don't know yet.
I feel like I do that a lot. But
yeah. But if you have the dude in the group who is the kind of more like the HR kind of trying to make sure everybody's chill and like taken care of, oftentimes I found in those groups gets called a bitch.
No.
And gets belittled
Hunter,
into like a
bitch.
feminine position within like the male social hierarchy. I have noticed that.
I haven't really noticed that for myself.
Yeah.
I think we have a pretty non-traditional friend group.
Generally, yeah.
I would also say I think we're not at a place where we can really where we're not discussing emotional labor properly.
Yeah.
I hear the term thrown around a lot, and it's something I've seen people attribute to things like TikTok and stuff, but I think it's just where these terms get thrown around so loosely that they become like day-to-day terms, but they're no longer really directly related to what they originally meant.
Yeah.
Like I would say like trigger or triggered is one of those. Or
yeah, where instead of describing a specific
like medical response or psychological response, it's now just means
like,
you're upset.
Yeah, so yeah, instead of it being a specific psycho-emotional response, it's just I'm having a negative feeling, and I'm just like, I have those all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm triggered.
I don't know. I maybe one of my biggest things that annoys me, but seeing emotional labor discussed in like I start an argument and I don't have the emotional ability to explain what I meant or the topic that I started. I'm not doing that emotional labor.
Yeah, there is unfortunately a lot of people that will weaponize technically what are good things that should help into just me being a shitty person because I don't want to do things, and I'm like, hey, God fucking damn it, I hate that shit. Because it's like I don't, because there's like also the emotional labor that like my BIPOC friends have had to deal with, where they're just constantly having to explain like the world they live in and all the inequities they have to deal with on a daily basis to like fucking white people all the time. And white people are just like, well, I don't see it. I'm like, of course you don't fucking see it, Kevin. You're not brown. You don't exist in that world. And this friend of yours is taking time out of their goddamn day to explain this to your dumb ass. And he has to do that every fucking day. That's exhausting.
I think also we as a species lack an ability to like actually process like societal changes around us over time. I know it happens to old people and they get accused of like that a lot, but on my other show Confession Cam, we've gone back and been watching like Jersey Shore, which is like not that long ago. I think it started in like 2009.
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago at most.
But like the shit that was on primetime television that they're saying, like,
it's ridiculous.
It's wild. But yeah, Wanda Sykes was on TV saying like, don't say gay. Like,
in the context of
as an insult.
Yeah.
They'll be like, don't say like, that's gay as a bad thing. That'd be like saying, that's Kevin when there's a bad thing.
I mean, we do that though.
Yeah, fuck you, Kevin. You know who you are, and we hate you.
You owe me $6.
But
FYI, Kevin's, your money spends the same. We will take you as a patron.
that's true too. The opposite of that is true, especially when white people. Sorry to group them up like that, but when they do try and discuss issues of other groups, they'll be like, well, this isn't happening anymore. That's good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Racism's over.
We voted Obama. A black man into office. Racism's over. And I'm just like, no, it's not. Which I know as a room full of honkies is a big thing for us to be talking about. But unfortunately, we need to talk about these things because the people that are problems are not going to listen to black people, so we got to say things. So, on the note of having to say things, these issues of gendered work have been abused by trans exclusionary radical feminists. I am at the point now where I want to say, instead of saying trans exclusionary radical feminist, say fascist instead because of things that are happening, but that is a personal take on mine.
Yeah. Though it may be true, we have to use the correct term.
Well, no, it's not so much that. It's just I don't have the space to get into that right now and not completely divert the script. So there is a argument that is used, and I think it's a very bad argument. It's very disingenuous, where these TERFs will say, would try to pick up like Marxist terminology and say, well, if women are doing the labor of making and reproducing people, and that is unpaired labor, trans women don't get to claim oppression and patriarchy because they are physically incapable of doing that labor. Which I'm like, that's a fucked argument because, one, I can't think of any... I've gotten into this with TERFs online where I'm non-binary, but I look like a woman and I would be classified as a woman by most people. But I have a medical condition that makes me infertile and I can't have kids. So I'm like, so because I can't reproduce, would you say I don't belong in the women's restroom, as you keep squawking about? And they're just like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, so you've conceded the point already that trans medicalism is horse shit. And on top of that, a lot of the labor that we're talking about that's like quote unquote women's work is not tied into your fucking genitals.
Yeah, I don't do the laundry with my cock. Like,
hold on, you don't fold the laundry with your cock?
That's impressive.
I said do the laundry, not fold.
Okay.
Is that what dicks are for?
I mean, sometimes.
That, stirring stews, women's work.
Spreading butter across toast.
I'm very glad that I was not equipped with one of those.
I think it's a
You coming to the potluck this weekend?
No.
God damn it.
Fuck no. Especially after the dick stirring comment.
Yeah, and there is... Abigail brings this up in the video, and I have double-checked online. There are really shitty TERFs that do use this book, in particular Federici's work, to bolster their claims about, I'm the daughters of witches that you couldn't burn, and all this gross shit, and fuck them. I'm like, no, you guys don't understand what the actual point of this is.
You're also most likely the daughters of the women who burned witches. So
yeah. To be honest,
statistically,
you guys are the ancestors of the Witchfinder generals. Like, let's be fucking honest here. So, I wanted to give that big caveat of, while these ideas are interesting, it can slip into some really gross, fucked up shit. And if that's how you feel, stop listening to the show. Fuck off.
Or just have some self-introspection.
Yeah. It's like, stop listening to the show, fuck off, maybe think about what you're doing. Once you've chilled out, you can come back.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it. Just like, no.
But you're always welcome on our Patreon.
Your money still spends the same.
Unfortunately, it does. Oh, no. Okay. So, here in the original... Oh, go ahead.
Interesting, but goes into bad spots. It's just like a lot of things with like conspiracy theories and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like conspiracy theories. Most conspiracy theories that I've listened to or like looked up on, they start out being either really fun or interesting or like, I kind of want to think about that. And then you read like 8 pages in and they're like, the Jews! And you're like, no,
Oh,
stop.
God. It's a nightmare because like I try to explain to people about like COINTELPRO and there's the recent information that has dropped about like the FBI actually infiltrated the BLM protests in 2020 and all sorts of crazy shit that I was like, yeah, no shit. And then
We've been saying this.
yeah, like we we have
right.
actual documentation of this, and then dumb motherfuckers come up and they're like, well, it's a globalist deep state and blood libel, and I'm just like, no.
I mean, I would even say people don't want to hear it, but like I know there's been a lot of evidence too of like a lot of government people infiltrating even like right wing like Trump rallies, and there's a lot of Trumpers who are like, that wasn't us, that was like Antifa, but it's like that's probably the government. If someone was infiltrating your group and doing fucky shit, it was probably government agents. But They just, it's Obama's Antifa.
Yeah, because it's like, as somebody who does anti-fascist work and has worked with like anti-fascist like groups, if they're interacting with far right groups, generally it's more of like an observation, like we just want to watch you and know what the fuck you're doing, and then share that amongst each other, and then maybe if you do a really bad thing, we post your picture and your address online.
Sometimes people gotta know.
So I was gonna say, if you're doing a violent racism or trying to like overthrow the government, yeah, you should probably.
Sometimes your employer should know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that delightful note, so at this point in the original video essay, the author compares the violent suppression of women with the witch trials and how that led to social control to that of the social control done by lynching in the American South in the light of like Reconstruction, which is very heavy. It is a great part of the episode. I super recommend everybody go watch it. I'm not going to get into all the graphic details because that is a lot for everybody to deal with. And maybe I'm not the person that should be talking about these issues, gonna be honest, but trying to be supportive and a good American citizen and explain our history and the fucked up things that we do and our government has done. So hooray. Hurrah. But in the context for this, lynchings and witch trials did not end when the concept of the witchcraft as a thing or, the fallacies of racism were disproven. These cultural events stopped when they had basically served their purpose. So it's not witchcraft isn't a thing. We're just going to stop doing that. It's like, nope.
Ladies are just being like what we want them to be, so we don't have to burn them anymore.
Yeah, so the charges go from witchcraft to just vagrancy, harlotry, that kind of shit.
They just changed the terms and the punishment.
Yeah, which is, exciting. And in both events, once the events had, quote unquote, wrapped up, there wasn't really a public outcry for justice once everybody was like, oh, this is fucked up. We killed tens of thousands of people. There was no sense of a need to put value back onto these people's lives. And in a lot of cases, people consider these mass losses of life to be socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. In the video, Abigail quotes Thomas Hobbes on the witch trials, saying that they were a good way of promoting social order.
Huh.
And I'm like, Thomas Hobbes, one of the guys that led to us having an American Revolution.
He invented the racism.
Well, yeah.
Joking.
He did.
Racism,
he didn't help.
Racism didn't exist until then.
And keep in mind that a lot of the stereotypes, narratives, and images that were created in light of these events still exist into this day and affect our acceptability of these groups of people in the context of those images.
I mean, the idea of the acceptable loss has definitely not gone anywhere. I mean, just look at like the war on terror or COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Or...
COVID is fucking... The depths of depression I personally got into over COVID as somebody who's immunocompromised and worked a public service-facing job is fucking a nightmare. Like, it's actually fucked my physical health, where I'm just like, oh... Clearly, all these people around me that said they cared actively do not. My ability to live does not trump their ability to, like, go get a coffee.
I don't get it. I thought for me, it was, like, the biggest excuse to be, like, a massive piece of shit. Like, looks like I'm ordering food again.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. They're going to have to leave it on my porch and not communicate or talk to me whatsoever. God damn.
Like, oh, no. Like,
yeah, the DoorDash. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. But the people that are like, I gotta go out.
Oh, yeah, no. Like,
I can't let the virus win.
Oh, God, yeah. No, like, the most upsetting was when things started to open back up and I was still working at fucking Captain Ahab's Coffee Emporium. And... Oh, God. I kept wearing a mask just because I'm like, I fucking need to wear a mask because there's a not zero chance, like, depending on how severe of a COVID case is for me, I have to immediately go to a hospital. Yeah, the amount of particularly older men would come up and be like, why don't you take that mask off? I want to see you smile.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one guy tried to reach across to snatch it off my face one day. Yeah, it was fucking, it's a weird combination of like not giving a fuck about disability rights and also like feeling entitled to my body as a female is just like such a dystopian nightmare. And I was just like, I'm so upset.
Well, not only that, but like the whole thing has become so politicized that it's not even about like the science behind it. We're still doing studies on that and that kind of thing, but it is definitely just like, well, you are part of the other football team than me, so I have to go for a touchdown play against you, pull your mask off, and like make a big show about it. And like I almost shared an article in our Discord today, but I didn't because the title of the article was so poorly titled that I was afraid it would start arguments before people read like the 5-page. But it's about the trial studies that are coming out of COVID, and like so technically masks that are not N95s do not work very well in 1-to-1 tests where you have a one person emitting and a one mannequin head receiving and testing that. However, in group trials so in that sense, masks don't work unless it's the N95. However, in tests where they were able to match districts in the US based on their political leanings and whether or not their political leanings, their population size, density, and whether or not they had mask mandates. And they've been able to prove that pretty close. While they can't 100% pin it to masks, it might also be social distancing and other laws enacted or mandates enacted, that counties that did have mask laws had a much lower death rate and a lower reported illness rate overall. So while in a direct trial, they're not as effective, in practice it seems like they were actually effective.
Well, it's like it's the Swiss cheese method of protection where like there's literally no form of protection that is 100% effective. There's none. Fucking none. But I play D&D and I understand how percentiles work. And yes, I will take the cloak of 30% poison resistance. Thank you. Yeah. And if you stack that on with your AC and other things and then people around you and you're like, okay, cool, we're stratting. We're putting the tank up front and the squishy wizards in the back. And with all these layers of protection, then it's like, I'm actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, it adds up.
But that cloak's heavy and the party is forcing you to put it on. You should take it off for your freedoms.
Go ahead.
I really liked the analogy of somebody peeing on somebody. If both people aren't wearing pants and somebody pees, well, they're both, the other person's getting wet with that person's pee. And if one person pees and he's not wearing pants, but the person that's getting peed on is wearing pants, he's still getting peed on. And it's still all over his pants, but it's not directly touching him. But if the person that's peeing wears pants and the person that's not peeing wears pants, only the person that's peeing is getting wet.
There'll be some leakage, and it depends on the pool size. But...
Right, yeah. If you stand too close, you might get some on your shoes. But
I just I dislike that we have to constantly explain kindergarten skills to grown ass adults that are yelling at me all the time about just like, goddamn fucking childish liberal, da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm a leftist, sir. Fuck off. But anyways, so now we're getting into Sacred Vessel Fallacy 2.
Part 2.
Still with the PH, because dick jokes. So within Hermeticism, I am not a Hermetic mage. It's not a school or anything that I particularly am interested in. So my understanding of this might be a little shallow, but I tried to do some research and I found an interesting paper that got into gender and sex within the Hermetic practices. Please let me know if I'm out of pocket.
Okay. The thing is, Hermeticism is such a wide net that it's kind of hard to be. That's was my big takeaway after listening to like 5 hours of Hermetics talking about what they do is... Yeah, it's kind of like it's like throwing a wide net over early spiritual practices that aren't directly religious based, even though
there's a lot of religious shit in it.
They also were kind of just like, we'll do some of this and this. So over time, it kind of became the basis of a large chunk of like European and like African and it never really penetrated Asia, but I think that's because of animism.
Animism
pushed that thought away.
You know, because the Mediterranean, the European, and the North Africans are close to each other, so they shared a lot of ideas back and forth.
Yeah.
Hooray. But yeah, so a lot of people that I have read and interacted with about Hermetic magics tend to follow this idea of male energy being active and emitting and females being passive and receiving. So the sword and the vessel.
Yeah, chalice.
You get into that with some Crowley shit. Our modern understanding of gender does not really translate over into older Hermetic texts because our concept of genders didn't fucking exist then, for one. And within the, which mean it either has both male and female or has neither, your soul is trans. It is non-binary. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like it's your soul is separate from the physical form, and gender doesn't fucking matter. Any references to bodily sex within these texts is generally done by observation by people 2,000 years ago.
So relatively modern.
Well, like it's based off of just the understanding the world at the time, which is a lot of people that are men have dicks.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are women have vagines, and there's a small amount of people that sometimes have a portion of both. And that's just because that's what they could see with their fucking looking eyes, because they didn't have microscopes, because it was 2,000 years ago.
They didn't know about, like sperms and
well, like they knew about. They had the idea of sperm. Womb was just a wandering. Like it's in there.
It's there somewhere.
And I know if I put enough sperms in there, sometimes a person pops out, and that's about the.
Did they actually know about sperms or just semen?
Well, yeah, semen.
Yeah, I meant like
the actual
there's
cells.
There's like a little cell in there,
yeah,
and
that,
it goes
no.
in, and yeah.
No. And apparently within the text of like Hermeta Corpora, there's only a few mentions and really only one actual citation that states anything that could support a gendered application of male and female energies. So even within their like core text, there's just like, it's not really there. So that's fun. Sex does exist on a spectrum, and gender is a social construct.
Yeah.
That's just how the world is, guys. I'm sorry. And the author for this had a really good point that I liked, which was, if Hermes is the god of knowledge and science, then it'd behoove us to adapt the teachings and doctrines of earlier ages that came before to what we have now based on better knowledge of the matter, given the good it stands to do for us with the minimal impact it makes on the meat and bones of the tradition. Wow. Wow. It's almost like in the light of new evidence, you can change your ideology and it's fine.
What? What?
New evidence showed
I
up?
have to think about things?
Fuck!
I have to incorporate ideas into my belief system?
No, remember, as a masculine individual, your only job is to pick up heavy thing, move it over, and then unga bunga. No thought outside of that. Eat, fuck, kill. Nope, that's your only job. Only existence.
I'm here for himbos though. Look, Kronk from Emperor's New Groove, like peak wholesome masculinity. He just dumb as fucking big. I also acknowledging there are many people who practice this shit and study it in their own ways, and I'm here to respect that. And if you want to do a gendered practice, cool, just don't be a piece of shit about it. Other than that, cool. So how does this translate into the houses of Clan Tremere now that we've gotten through all of that? Hi.
Hey.
This is a World of Darkness podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I'm here to do fucking media analysis because I think it's fucking interesting, especially in the light of the changes in the Clan Tremere for V5. Is part of the reason why they're like one of my favorite clans in V5 because it's so fucking interesting, especially in the light of everything we just talked about. So, if you go to the core book, Clan Tremere, page 94, there's a confo between Karl Schrecht, Karna, and the Goretrix Tremere being. They leave that vague. They say it's Goretrix, who the fuck knows? So, within their conversation, it's very short, but they get into power dynamics and strategies in a way that map over this that I find very interesting. Because there is the Schrecht and Goretrix basically shrugging off the concept of women's work and practices tied into BIPOC people. Like, they literally mock the idea of tarot cards and tea leaves. Just flat out. They're just like, what? Why? That's stupid. That's not real magic. What are you doing? And there's a conversation about order and structure versus magic for its own sake, which goes back to the fundamentals of, magic and how it was practiced in Europe pre-witch trials, and then the order and structure required for capitalism post-witch trials. And I'm just like, that's really cool. There's also an interesting note about in light of animism and the way that we, in a Western European context, interact with the world. Because we tend to lack an ability to be humble within the mystery of the cosmos, and we're more into possessing the world as opposed to existing within it, which is something that seems to map more onto Shrek and the House Tremere as opposed to Karna, who seems to be trying to open the door for more of an animism, qualitative, like, hey, you can just explore the world and vibes. And within that context, in Clan Tremere, there is the doubling down on maintaining social order through the means of violence and subjugation with the Prosadium, which you could look at as a reintroduction of the like Witchfinder generals from the witch trials, but it's like within the magic folk. It's fucking fascinating. I'm just like, there's so much going on in just this little like 5-paragraph conversation that I'm just like, this is so fucking, why is no one talking about this? This is cool.
I mean, there also is, you were talking about in V5 canon now, that House Tremere is actively hunting down what remains of House Goretrix.
Well, House Goretrix now is aligned with the Camarilla, and...
Or was it one of the others that they were, like, dead on sight?
It used to be.
Used to be,
but I think with the ritual in Mexico City basically, like, nuking almost all of the Tremere anti-tribu, and now House Goretrix aligning with the Camarilla, I'm assuming in light of Gehenna and whatever the fuck's going on. So you basically have the two masculine houses as part of the pyramid, and they're trying to maintain a hegemony and a social order
of
tradition. And then you have House Karna that's like opening the door for that. And then we have this fourth house that's not at the table, that there's not a lot of stuff for, but I fucking love it, which is House Ispismus. And I really like getting into this as witches as non-consumers. This is where you're getting into spiritual practitioners working within anti-fascist and anarchist circles as organizers, activists, especially in the light of like climate crisis and economic collapse. So that's cool. So it's you could get into some really cool stories of like basically the wheels and functions of society and capitalism and all that as we've known it are now crumbling, and now you're having this resurgence of people reclaiming the mantles of witchcraft and magic, but as a way of organizing and into different social orders.
I mean, maybe this is way too much, but it's something we've talked about a little bit with people on the server, and I think it's interesting is like, as the wheels of capitalism march on, we're seeing more like people of color and people of non-traditional sexuality starting to be accepted into the more traditional zeitgeist in capitalist circles, because the need to ever grow, means they have to accept these people as consumers and as part of their system, because otherwise they'll hit a dead halt, because they're the only groups left to grow into that's staying outside of that kind of circle. Whereas, like you said, like House Goretrix, House Tremere are kind of
inside, yeah,
coming together, and even Karna's kind of like at the table, at least, like it's starting to be welcomed at the table and talked to, having these people who are still outside of that completely, as you said, like non-consumers.
Yeah, it's kind of a I think the most mainstream way of visualizing this before we get into really esoteric books that I like is like the water protectors that we've had in the US, where it's indigenous folks that are trying to not only preserve their culture and their lands, it is also a lot of them leaning into their own cultural and spiritual practices as a form of protest in light of federal abuse and capitalist overreach into their territories, and again ignoring treaties and just. But it's done not only to protect their communities, but also just like the wider, like, fuck motherfuckers, we need water. Like, the fuck are you doing? Like, why are we like this?
But Nestle's got to bottle that and sell it.
Oh, God. Yeah, so that's stuff that I would hope if people are interested in exploring these topics in your game. I think this is a good way to do it. And I have access some books if people want more interest in, like, spirituality and the occult in light of, like, anarchist theory and practice, because that's the kind of dumbass I am.
I mean, along these topics specifically, too, it'll be really interesting to see what we actually do end up getting out of W5 coming this summer.
Oh, yeah. W5 is going to be really interesting, and I'm really curious where things expand with the Player's Guide and then the Blood Sigils book that's coming out. So,
Yeah. Well, specifically on the topics like you're talking about, like water protection and stuff like that. That was pretty much like ideas that were already explored in like Old Werewolf, but like
it seems like at least in the meta text we've gotten for Werewolf and the new one, they're really like doubling down into that, which I'm like, sick.
Hell yeah.
That'll be cool. And honestly, I'm like, you can run a chronicle where it's a bunch of like House of Pismus Tremere guys that are like working with the Guru to be like, fuck that shit. You're like, I'm a wizard and you can punch everything. I think we got this.
Literally everything.
I will punch God.
I'm just curious if they're going to leave it out or if they're going to go hard and just be like, Pentex did Norfolk Southern.
I mean, Pentex did Norfolk Southern. I don't give all the trains.
I would say that's the only explanation, but...
money. The line must go up.
I mean, in World of Darkness.
The line must go up. So, yeah, that was my thoughts on how the witch trials helped start a capitalism and how that also very nicely aligns with the Convention of Thorns and then the structure of the Tremere Pyramid. And then as society is crumbling again, the Tremere Pyramid is broken, and now we're getting these different schools of occult thought that actually map really well onto the different houses of Tremere that we have currently, and just different themes and ways you can explore that in your game. And maybe some of those will cross over into things the other player characters are doing, so you don't have to play an Oops All Tremere game. If you want to play Oops All Tremere, that's great, but
But why would you?
I like it.
I like the idea of playing an Oops All Tremere game where we just stand on top of a roof and then the sun comes up.
Honestly, I would play that one shot where like, okay, we're all gonna die because fuck this, but then it just turns into a long philosophical discussion for like 4 hours and then the sun comes up.
And then,
Yeah, I'd love that. But yeah, so freebie NPC time. Who wants to go first?
I hinted at this when I had an epiphany on our first episode, but he is a Tremere, works a lot in sigil work, and he's specifically got into like cryptocurrencies and NFTs and using those to spread his sigils online. Real scum, a lot of high, almost like Ventru, but a Ventru who's seen a couple like speeches by like Grant Morrison. It's like, oh, I can make more money somehow.
What if I take the ideas of Grant Morrison and Alan Moore, but then I turned it into profit?
Yes. Well, I mean, both of them, I'm pretty sure, used to go give speeches to like CEOs of companies.
Yeah.
To make more money with magic. So these people probably exactly exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think the difference between like those two guys and this guy is that they're talking about like, let's make sigils and put it in artwork. And this guy's like, I'm going to get like 7,000 people to buy my NFT for $100,000 a piece.
Yeah, this guy was in the room while they were talking about that and goes, okay, now I'll sell it to people.
I know that there's
power
some
sigils.
Oh god, I haven't looked into this in a long time. I used to be super into this, but so there is some crossover between early 20th century occult thought and getting into psychoanalysis and then early marketing. That is very, very interesting, but I haven't read it in a minute, so I don't remember names. But it's very just
I mean, they're very... Unfortunately, a lot of the things that the government discovered when researching, like, brainwashing and that kind of stuff, all that research went into marketing companies.
Yep.
So you get into that a lot. I thought it was funny, so one of the flaws I took was I put enemies Toreador. Someone had to make that art that he sold.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But there's...
Fuck you, you
What they
stole
did-
my art and turned it into an NFT? You
stole-
piece of shit.
You
Hey.
stole my
and then
art.
I drew sigils over it.
Hey. The art wasn't stolen. You were paid for in exposure.
or worse, they took your art and ran it through like an AI generator and then incorporated the sigil. Just gross.
Yeah, I don't like that guy.
No, great NPC.
I mean, yeah, good NPC. I don't like
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. I mean, if you're having a more open game, there would definitely be some mages who'd be real pissed off about what he's doing. Maybe even some werewolves.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, he's just... I like to think that people would maybe mistake him for a Ventru until he starts like casting spells, and you're like, oh,
And you're like, oh, God damn it, he's worse.
She admitted it.
Look, what's worse than a capitalist? A capitalist that could do magic.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, fuck, you can't actually alter reality. God damn
Shit.
it. I guess I'll go.
What, we don't want to let the person that likes it most go last?
I mean, that's up to y'all.
I think it'd probably be the best to
Okay,
end
fine.
with you,
Okay, do you
so-
want to go next then?
Yeah,
Or-
I can go,
All
or
right.
we can...
Yeah.
Okay, John's not done percolating? Okay.
No, I'm done, but go ahead.
Okay, alrighty then. I've got Isaiah Bradley. I've had this guy made since the Sabbat book came out because I feel that the path of death and the soul seems to be something that from Tremere should really, if they're really wanting to dive down into what you can experiment with occultism, why aren't you trying to kill death?
I mean, that would solve the immortality problem.
Yeah, exactly. Just get rid of it. And yeah, I picture them as like an ex-Sabbat, mainly because they're like, I'm not here to rule the world. I'm just here to do a goal. You guys are crazy. You won't leave me alone. I'm just trying to do my research. I know my research sounds very weird and very scary. That does not make me align with you. I just want to do this in peace. Also, if I don't do it ethically, you don't get good results. I can't just be grabbing fledglings and doing this bullshit. You have to have willing participants.
So little house score tricks where it's like, I'm doing really shady, gross science, or not science, but like occult experimentation, where I'm like, I'm pushing the envelope. I'm a little shifty, but I have some fucking bounds of reason.
Yeah. Just no. This needs to be done ethically. Like no. You can't just. It's not going to work. It's going to taint the data. It's really going to taint the data.
Cool.
Take it.
Hell yeah.
I always.
Would other Tremere be kind of upset with him? Because I know one of the big things that we talked about in the history episode was like, after the ritual happened and everyone's like, well, that didn't work the way it's supposed to. Anyone who like disagreed was kind of like,
Well, it was more that part was more people just being like, hey, so I don't think Tremere is actually Tremere in there.
Well, there was that, but there was also the first when they lost their magic.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
originally
that,
they were
yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to have kept their magic.
That, yeah.
So and
yeah.
it sounds like this guy's like, well, what if we find a way to like actually kill death, defeat death, and maybe we can get our powers
What
back?
if I-
Is that kind of what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So I would assume he is either not liked or just barely tolerated in whatever chantry he's in because
Or quiet.
Yeah. Well, it's just more like, well, we don't go down to the basement. Why? Isaiah's down there. And he's doing
working.
important research. Subtext, we don't want to fuck.
Does he get into shit with the Hekata? Because, he's doing necromancy, but from another direction.
I feel like it's 50-50. I feel like it's either, yeah, we fucking hate this guy, or I fucking hate them, or no, this guy gets it.
It's like, no, Isaiah's vibes.
Yeah.
I rewatched it recently, so it kind of just reminds me of that scene. I know we've talked about it on the last show, but in Pi, where he's sitting doing math in the diner, and then the Jewish, I guess we'll call him like a mathematician wizard, comes up. He's like, oh, Judaism's all about math too. That's cool. Let's talk about that. Like your thing and my thing are the same thing, actually. Like real stoked about it.
That was honestly a really like kind of adorable scene.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's making buddies, and he was not down to make buddies though.
He was not in a space to be making friends.
No,
There's that lady who's trying to make buddies with him the whole time. It's just-
no, she's not trying to make buddies. She's the fucking capitalist.
Oh, I meant his neighbor.
Oh yeah, she
She was
liked
trying to
him.
make buddies.
She was trying to make buddy. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
now.
I also always saw Isaiah as more like a POC, just for inclusion's sake. Like, I never saw him as like strictly like a white character. I found him to be like, outside the bounds, more inclusion.
It's also like, oh my God, it's not like we don't have centuries of history of black and brown science and or research. Anybody.
Innovators.
Yeah, people just making things, and then a white person shows up and goes, I made this.
Yeah, we wouldn't have fucking computers if it wasn't for black women. Also, mechanically, I definitely would see him having the galvanic rage.
I would say if you're going to pull any rituals from the Sabbat book for your character, run that past your storyteller first.
Yeah. But I have a distinct feeling he's the type of guy that's just like, oh, you fuck my experiment? Smash a coin. Fuck all your electronics.
Just petty.
Just fucking petty. Just like...
Tremere is petty?
As an NPC, though, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Like someone
And it's
who's like, I need you to find me some more test subjects, or like, I'm going to try something on you. Tell me how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
That's fine. You don't know. You might be the placebo. Fuck off.
It's a double-blind study.
Boop, boop, boop.
Speaking of
I don't know
double-blind.
what's going on. You don't know what's going on. We're just going to find out. What's going on?
Science.
Science.
Yeah. It's the meme. Science.
I made D is all they go by. They hang out pretty much in an attic all the time, focusing really heavily on ritual magic, like rituals instead of like the I'm gonna drink this thing and climb on a wall kind of stuff. They specifically, House of Pismus, Ipsismus. Kind of just up there doing their own thing, experimenting with blood rituals and hanging out with anarchs. Kind of paranoid. I was going to take the flaw of enemies Tremere because, they're not really, specifically Clan Tremere, because they're very much like, nah, fuck that. No, I'm going to stay in my attic. Kind of paranoid to the point that they're like, I warded the door to the house, and then I warded the first 3 steps of the house to the basement. Or to the attic. And then I warded the attic door. Okay, now I'm going to be in here for 3 weeks.
I can't remember the name of the character, but it's animated character that is kind of come back in the meme cycles of, I don't care how many people the IRS sends, I'm not paying taxes.
Dan.
Yeah.
It's Dan.
That.
Yeah.
It's Dan from Dan Versus.
Yep, it's pretty much that. Just like, leave me alone. I'm doing my shit. Every once in a while, we'll help like help out some anarchs because not necessarily aligned with them as much as like, okay, well, you guys at least like let me do my thing and leave me alone. Like, I'm gonna live in your area. You leave me alone. I'll do some work for you every once in a while.
Yeah, they bring him like, hey, we brought some supplies.
Yeah.
And he's like, sick.
Thanks, man.
Get out of my house.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, don't knock on the door. Just text me.
Oh God, it's fucking Adam from fucking Only Lovers Left Alive.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. But instead of music, it's just rituals.
Right. He's like, don't go into the attic. And you go into the attic and you're like, what the fuck is going on up here? It's like, I'm working on something.
Just so many.
If they can get up there.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, just there's alarms in the house just made out of like rubber chickens. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Oh, the shrieks of the damned, otherwise known as...
Very much like, I will leave you alone if you leave me alone. If you get past my wards into my attic, I'm going to do everything I can to turn you into the paste that I paint my sigils with.
Mm-hmm. Just like, I'm going to identify as a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I love that for him.
Yeah. He just wants to do his own thing. He just hangs out.
That's so good. All right. I'm going to give an NPC of a character that I have made and played before, but people seem to like this, so I'm going to go with it. The character's name is Ruth Holmes. They were initially embraced in Clan Tremere, House Tremere as basically kind of a tech and internet expert, because there is that portion of the Tremere that are like, hey, so we got to battle the Second Inquisition and all this stuff, so we need to have people that not only understand esotericism, but also understand like technology and cyberware. So Ruth is a little internet e-girl, like internet poisoned kind of person that does like cybersecurity, but a lot of what her work is based around manipulating social media, kind of also getting to the memes and the sigils and whatnot, but it's more in the I need to and all that kind of stuff, but also helping to maintain the masquerade through the internet.
I dig that.
So lots of bot farms.
Yeah.
Lots of, just following all sorts of social medias, posting their own social medias, probably does like game streaming with like just on the internet. Cause they're just like, I'm so young that like, for me to maintain my masquerade, I have to maintain my Twitch schedule.
Yeah.
Like it's still ordering things on Uber Eats just because it's like, I've been doing that. I got embraced. So now I need to maintain these things because, if the government were to look into me, they're going to look for breakups in my data as opposed or like complete gaps in information, and is a advocate in against the Camaria's whole like, we need to stop using technology. And she's like, that is the dumbest. That is literally how you literally cannot function in this society and not use cell phones. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And because of those conversations, she's flipped into House Karna. So it's kind of like a double agent. She basically like doubles and triple agents all the time, just because it's like so many layers of just facade and having to 4D chess around everybody's nonsense.
I dig it.
But has really bitchin' eyeliner.
Oh, I forgot something.
Yeah.
For D, sorry.
Hold on.
Sorry, I was wanting to take a friend, and I wanted to have a buddy who was drug magic.
Yes.
Cult of Ecstasy.
Yeah, I wanted to have a buddy who was Cult of Ecstasy that would pop over every once in a while, and they would discuss
The nature of the
things.
universe.
Right, and it
Yeah.
would be less like they've. Sorry to just jump.
No,
into
you're
yours.
good.
No, I almost did the same thing on yours.
It would be less like trading magical theories and whatnot, and more just like
Vibes.
honestly, yeah. Like the Cult of Ecstasy's guys, like, I like what you're doing. It's kind of interesting and cool. And D's just like, you get it at least a bit. You're not gonna fuck with my like. He trusts this person to come up into the attic and not accidentally kick over, you know, the candle that's been burning for 200 hours.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, so I didn't butt into yours. I had that same thought when you were like, oh, the Anarchs just tolerate him. I feel like Isaiah just found a chantry and just kind of walked in and was like, I'm here now. And just like, I need you guys to peer review the data accurately. I'm not...
And then just proceeds to continue what he's doing.
Yeah,
just
just
expects
like,
things.
Yeah, just walks into the chantry. They're just like, what? He got in here. He found an empty area. It's like a cat.
He would have had to have at least some level of like within the Sabbat Tremere that when he walked in, he could at least a good group of people be like, no, I'm better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
I forget what they call it, like their version of Dignitas, where they're just like, I've put in my work for the family.
Yeah, depending on what level he is within, like, he had enough clout that he was able to walk into the structure of the pyramid and go, I am at this level, fuck you.
And no one above him was upset enough to be like, yeah, he does belong down there. No one at his level or below was upset enough to be like, no, I'm better than you. Or you're worth me pointing out that I'm better than you.
I would assume anybody who did try to cause a fuss, he's just like, well, I'm going to put you in the Shadowlands now. So,
Yeah,
like,
just for a little, just...
there you go.
You're going to be there for 5 seconds. Have you learned a lesson? We can go for 15. It's a little bit of the Dr. House energy, just that I know I'm better than you.
Does he have a pill addiction?
I feel like he might do it just to fuck with people, but he wouldn't be like, I definitely am addicted.
It wouldn't work. You'd have to be giving pills to people and be like, all right, take these.
It's less the arrogance of Dr. House and more the I know.
Oh god, yeah, no, like, at least energy-wise for Ruth, it's, when I say e-girl, I want to be very specific. She is not an ooh-woo VTuber. No, much more of the, I go into COD rooms to trigger fragile men on purpose, because fuck you, and it's funny, but it has, like, the most girly pop, like, characters where everything's, like, pink.
I feel like a terrifying game would be having your players get stuck in between, like, a dispute between Ruth and David.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah, actually, I feel like these two would not. No, absolutely not.
They would definitely butt heads almost immediately.
Yeah. Just like, I'm a Tremere.
I mean, that's his whole thing too, is meme school.
Yeah,
but
just different meme schools.
Oh, the modern day philosophies.
Yeah, so like that could be funny. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, this is more of a weaponized femininity kind of a character. But, you know, with the just like, hey, by the way, so the government's watching fucking everything, and the fact that the Second Inquisition hasn't nuked all vampires from our orbit should really concern everyone. Why are you investing in Pentax? Why? Just the fuck. Okay.
Money.
Stop it.
Money.
The line does not have to go up. Anywho, final thoughts on Clan Tremere.
I'm glad it's over.
I've actually really enjoyed it. I do wish we had a little bit more information on Epismus. I feel like they fit really well into the vibe of E5. And I wish we had just more info on what they're up to. I know it's kind of like with the Anarchs, the whole point is that they're kind of broken and scrambling to get things together, but like, fuck, I would like a good chunk, even if we got like some, like a novel or one of those adventure stories or something that tied into them more directly.
Or hell, even in, like, you know, the Anarch book has a bunch of, like, short stories of different factions within the Anarchs and different ways you can take them. I wish there was one of those for somebody in House of Epismus. Just to kind of give some context, because I can come up with things and understand where this is going, but also this house, at least from the little bits we've gotten, really fits into my occultic thought. So for me, it's pretty like, oh yeah, click, this makes sense. Trying to explain this to anybody else without having to pull out 5 books and a massive amount of drugs is really hard.
Or just say anarchist wizards.
Yeah. It's like, what if you personified a Tom Morello song?
I don't know. It's something I've seen.
And gave it a candle.
It's something I've seen in our Discord, which you should join. But, sorry. But
I mean,
like,
you should. He's right.
He's not wrong.
You should.
we have like a lore discussion chat, and there's people have asked like, how do the anarchs handle this or that? And it's like, it's kind of a bummer because the answer is always yes and no. It's always like, well, they might do it this way. They might do it exactly the same as the Camarilla. They might do the exact opposite. It just really depends on this city and this area of the city and who's in charge at the moment or has the most backing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Epismus kind of falls into that, where it's like, whatever that coven or whatever they call themselves in that city in that area are doing together.
Just the one guy. It could just be like a D situation where it's just a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of him being like the only Tremere in that, at least that section of the city. Like, it's an anarch controlled, and he's just like, I'm gonna sit over here, and maybe even on the other side of the street from the end of that territory is like the other Chantry. But yeah, I like the idea of him just no, I just want to be here.
Oh yeah, because I feel like there could be some fun flavor and stuff. Because like I have some books on like postmodern magic and including technology in with your occultic practices, and the idea of having like a multi-monitor setup, but one of them is a black screen that you use as like a scrying mirror.
Fun.
I'm just like, that's fun. Like the old CRT like was like, why do you have one really old tube monitor? And I'm like, oh, look at this, and then you could just. Like, I'm spying on so many people right now. You have no idea. And it can't be traced. It's amazing.
Yeah. I like that.
The ultimate hacking CCTV cameras.
I feel like all these Tremere meeting up and it's just like, quiet down.
No.
I feel like when we get this new book, I feel like we're definitely going to cover it. We cover every new book after we feel like we've had time to digest and process and even sometimes run it like I did with the Hunter game and we might do with Werewolf again. Wink, wink. But
I'm just a little bit concerned, / I think it's funny that we were like, we're getting a player's guide that'll have everything for Vampire in. Then a few weeks later, we're getting another book, Blood and Sigils. I'm like, will this also be included in the player's guide? Or is this...
No, it's separate. I pre-ordered them, but it's a separate book, but it is more thaumaturgy, blood sorcery stuff, and also more alchemy for Thin Bloods.
Fuck yeah.
I would almost guess it started off as part of the player's guide, and then they said, there's a lot of this.
This is going to be chonky.
It's going to be thick. But yeah, I pre-ordered both, and pre-orders come with the PDFs included, which I'm like, thank God.
Nice. I want to I need to pre-order the players.
Yes.
Yep, so.
But yeah, did the Tremere hating side of the table have any final comments? This is time for your button, I suppose.
I think that I've summed it up in magic is cool, the Tremere are not.
Which is funny.
I'm kidding. The clan Tremere, like, I have to admit, it's a cool clan. It's interesting. There's a lot of neat stuff going on with it. In my bones, I still hate them, but I see why someone could like them.
Thank you.
And I can forgive you.
Thank you.
And now that our Tremere month is over, I have to say, I actually kind of like the Tremere. I've always kind of liked the Tremere. It's just fun to hate them because they're shitty usurpers.
Asshole.
Yep.
You've been giving me shit.
I know.
You've been giving me shit.
Yeah, I've been giving everybody shit because it's the meme and it's true. They're good to hate, but like, there's worse clans. I'm not going to say who they are right now. I'm going to wait to talk shit about them later.
As I've said, every clan has its sins and problems.
Except the Malkavian.
And some of
Are you shitting me?
Angels.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you shitting? Okay,
no Nazis.
No
Nazis.
There are no Nazis. That's true. But Jason, the Goodberry, the NPC, that guy in fucking Chicago by Night.
Oof.
Yeah, there are some very, very. Oh no.
I just mean structurally, they're
not as bad.
But again,
with what structure they
back
have.
to my point,
But
they're useful and interesting. They're not useless like some clans. I'll wait for those episodes.
Rude.
Yeah.
Speaking of those episodes,
what are your thoughts before we move on?
I did.
Yeah.
I was the one who said I wanted more info on Epismus, and the rest of the house, they're a big linchpin in the meta plot. I do think the whole multi-founder body monster is pretty cool whatever's going on with the actual Tremere.
Right.
And then you can't really ask for more. They're so new, and that ever since there's been a meta plot, they was right about when they were getting started. So like they're tied very inextricably to the meta plot. So if you're a meta plot person, like really into the histories and lore of this game, you kind of can't get away from them because they are pretty much immediately and forever movers and shakers within vampire history. But
they're definitely also like some of the most ambitious of all the clans, so they kind of force themselves into everything.
Oh, on that note, a thing that I kind of want to see more players do is play into the more militant side of the Tremere, because I think there's a lot of really cool stories that can be done with just very BPRD kind of just fucking kicking ass for the name of occultism. Just like, I have this gun, but every bullet it shoots is inscribed with a sigil that also makes it explode. Kind of. There's a lot of really cool shit in there that can be done that I'm just like, hey, if you just want to be a badass in a trench coat,
do it.
Fucking do it. And there could be some really cool, like, if you're into like paramilitary or like espionage or psyops kind of a things, getting into Chronicles where there are Tremere who are specialized in doing like counterintelligence against the Second Inquisition, that I'm just like, that would be so fucking cool. But I'm one of those nerds that likes that kind of shit.
I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah. There's like, what if I played a goth guy that like fought the CIA? Like,
all right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Just wrapping up my final thoughts. I'm glad to know Order of Hermes is the root of all problems in World of Darkness. That's what we've learned. That is what we've actually learned. 'Cause we didn't get into it, but they're also the mage circle that started the technocracy.
Dicks.
Yeah.
Dicks.
And the other thing is...
So they're your boss's boss.
No. They're the ones that failed, and then we got a better thought process.
they're like the original the McDonald's brothers before what's his name took over.
Okay.
But if we're being real, the only reason why I fucking hated Tremere was in Old World. It's just like Old World, and Neonate could have a moon base.
Yeah, they're a little
starting lowest level magic. You could float your ass to the fucking moon if you mathematically calculated it, so you weren't anywhere in the sun, and you landed on the moon at the same time. There is a way you can float to the moon at the lowest level power and have a moon base. I'm fuck that overpowered bullshit.
How do you float back from the moon to the Earth?
Well, no, you float there, you form the base, and then you take a ritual that lets you teleport back to a location that you've been to.
Outside of you having to float while holding so many, like, blood bags.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just like, doing thaumaturgy costs blood points. Like,
yeah,
As an ST, I would still probably say no, but it is an interesting thought experiment.
No, I was just saying that it's like, you can do that. Like, it's stupid.
but should you?
And then a farmer reports an UFO.
Well, it's either a UFO or the fact that the technocracy has established moon bases, so they could just be like, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, but they actually use technology.
They're just like,
this.
this
Applicants. Wow.
So yeah, Tremere, if you like magic and getting into meta plot, this is a good way to do it. Hell yeah. Also, understanding various factions of the occult and how the occult ties in with Western society and racism and sexism and da-da-da-da-da-da shit. Just be cool with your homies, please. That's my message at the end of this is like, hey, shit's fucked. Just be nice to your friends.
You don't have to be what you see on TV.
No, we explore the darkness to understand it and make ourselves better.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah, but as James said...
But real quick, I just want to do a group exercise, though, okay? I know what we are... I know you guys know what I'm referring to when I say, on 3, we're all just going to say it together, though, okay?
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fuck the Tremere. You guys didn't participate. What kind of team is this?
No, James did.
All right, good job, bud.
It's okay.
I can't. For reasons.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, as James said earlier, it's the end of Tremere month, which means as this is up, our Twitter poll is going up to see who we cover next. Our patrons got to spend the previous week voting on who would go to this Twitter poll. We've expanded it past the core clans because we're running out of them, and we didn't want to run a poll of 2. But yeah, so that's up. So get on Twitter, go vote in Blood Sports. If you're interested in doing those initial polls, we do have a Discord as well. Tiers, we have everything from just Discord titles to being able to vote in polls and getting show notes. We have art sketches by Sarah if you want a character sketch. First month, you get a black and white drawing, and if you stick with it for a year, you get a full color illustration of a character, which is pretty fucking rad. And that's over on our Patreon. We also have a Discord server. Our Patreon does give you tiers, but it is free to join for everyone. Most of the server is open to the public, so come hang out and join. There's games going on, video games. There is thoughtful discussion. There are poop jokes. It's a wide range of fun times. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thanks, Paralyze, for the music. They are on Bandcamp. They are good as fuck.
Yes.
Oh wait, this script doesn't have the corn tub tier on Patreon.
Don't worry about it.
$1,000 buys us a corn tub. I eat corn, tell you about stuff. Let's go.
And that is specifically a tier and not a goal, because I don't really want a corn tub in my backyard, but that's where it's going to end up. So it's going to take one very dedicated person to make this happen.
Look,
One person that
Or
wants
a
to see
group
a
of you.
lanky
If a
man
group of you
eating
all want to
corn.
pitch in together,
Look, if you this is a good way to teach people how to do mutual aid.
Yeah.
It's like learn how to source your resources together to achieve a goal, so that Skipper can start his himbo tub stream arc.
mwah.
5 of you want to give us 200, 10 of you 100, but it has to be in one bulk payment,
Yeah.
or I will not accept it.
We also have
He'll accept it. It just won't go toward the corn tub.
Yeah.
No, yeah. The syndicate will accept.
Rude. So we also have an interview series. We got some great ones with creators doing music, stuff for the actual V5 books and materials, doing independent projects. If you want to check that out, go for it. If you want to participate in that, if you email us at blankbodies@gmail.com, organize that with Hunter, and we can chitty chat about things you're working on, whether it's LARPs, game development, music, art, cosplay. I think we're still looking for a real vampire.
Still looking.
Yeah,
We're on the hunt.
If you want to get on the podcast and talk
These
about
motherfuckers.
magic, your rituals, your practice, that'd be
Yeah,
neat.
please
John's on it.
please tell
Mage.
us, because I'm literally like 3 drunk wizards in a trench coat with the way I do stuff. So, if you're a real person that knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. If you've ever looked at a
Man,
World of
Hunter's
Darkness
fake.
book and said, I can use this in my real practice, that would be cool.
That'd be sick. Yeah, we're happy to talk about that.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Goodbye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
John, our watch is over. It's over. It's finally over. We can rest.
Mwah.